Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're talking about James and Meitalia. Because after lying to his family, to her family, and to Meitalia herself, James's lies may be finally catching up with him, as Tata's family is already disappointed with him after catching him in a 5-year-long lie.
5 tahun yang lalu.
That was 5 years ago.
Too long.
So, let's get into it. The episode starts off with James finally having arrived in Indonesia, and finally together with his partner Meitalia. They're coming back from the train station, and although their ultimate plan is to move in with Tata's family, the two of them decide to get a hotel for the first few days, so that they can,
We definitely want to be able to get really close, probably a few times, actually touch each other, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we definitely know what you mean. I understand wanting to be close and all that, but did you have to say it like that and make the groping motion? But before they can have any of their alone time, they decide to go and meet Tata's family first. Although James has been in Indonesia before, he actually hasn't been to her hometown yet and is looking forward to seeing where she grew up. They're on these little bike taxis with their luggage. He's looking at all the nature and all the street food. James is pretty excited about his new location, but is pretty worried about meeting the parents. Because although he's met the parents before, if you remember, he made a few promises to her family in order for them to approve of the marriage. Those promises being, 1, that he would always provide for her, and of course right now he's kinda broke and has no job. Number 2, he would learn the language, which he didn't and we'll get to later. And number 3, that the two of them would give the parents grandchildren. Which, right now, James is the only one who knows that that's not really in the cards. So James, with his history of lying and not telling the truth, is pretty worried about meeting the parents, and doesn't really know how this is all going to go down. And, to make matters worse, not only has he lied to his family about the whole trip, and lied to her parents about these 3 rules, he's also lying by omission because the two of them have not told the parents yet that James and Meitalia plan on moving to Indonesia permanently.
Tata's family still doesn't know that we are moving here permanently, and I'm really not sure how they're going to take that news or what it's going to be like for me living here with them.
Tata's family thinks that the two of them are just visiting and have no idea that they've already started moving here permanently. The two of them keep driving around the hometown, and it looks pretty modest, maybe what one would expect from a relatively poor part of the world, until they get to Tata's family's house, which, at least from the outside, looks like a freaking mansion. It has these giant pillars, it's multiple stories, pretty impressive.
Feels like I'm going to the Indonesian White House. It's a big place, and it's intimidating.
But finally, after all the talking and traveling, the two of them finally meet up with Tata's family. And things actually go pretty well at first. Her parents seem genuinely excited to see James. The dad even keeps aggressively rubbing James's leg in affection, which kinda weird for me. And after saying hi, they give James a tour of the place. First, they show James the banana factory, where they flavor and fry up all the banana chips. And then they take a tour upstairs to where James will be staying.
Salon kamar gym.
This is gonna be your future room.
And it's not looking great.
There's nothing done in this room. It looks like I'm stepping into a prison.
There's nothing in it, it doesn't have a floor yet, and are those cockroaches I see in the corner? I'm not trying to be a privileged, ignorant American expecting a 5-star hotel or anything. I can't do bugs. I'm sorry. I could deal with a lot. There's no way I'd be able to sleep if I made eye contact with a cockroach. But at least it sounds like, from what the dad was saying, that there will be a floor and they will be giving him an AC unit, so that's pretty good. And after the tour is finished, they all head up to the balcony, and you remember when I said earlier that the whole James not speaking Indonesian thing would come up again? Yeah, Tata's family is not too happy about that. They've already mentioned multiple times on this tour at this point that they're disappointed that James doesn't speak the language. Up until now, it's been mostly side comments and quips, but now is the time for the dad to finally confront James about the promises he made to them earlier. And the dad just comes right out the gate with it and asks James, hey, you remember that promise you made to us where you promised that you would learn Indonesian and seems like you didn't? You remember that conversation we had 5 years ago where you had all this time to learn the language?
Ingat dulu pernah janji kau pengen bahasa Indonesia? 5 tahun yang lalu.
That was 5 years ago.
Too long.
James seems to handle it pretty well and just fully admits that he didn't learn it and is apologetic. But what James tells us in a one-on-one is that this tells him that the family has not forgotten about those 3 promises. And although he may be getting some flack right now for the language thing, James knows in his head that he still can't provide for Tata and that he's changed his mind on the having kids thing.
It's disturbingly clear that the 3 promises are still important to them. I'm not sure how they're going to handle the other 2 when they find out how my feelings are about having children.
And is worried that if they still remember these promises, which they clearly do, it's only a matter of time before he has to admit his failures on the other fronts.
The pressure's on and it's stressful right now.
The next day, the 2 of them go out to the store to pick up some basic necessities for James, where they finally have a discussion about what they're going to do about telling the parents the truth. About the 2 of them moving to Indonesia permanently. Still not talking about the truth about the kids or anything like that. One step at a time with revealing the lies. The 2 of them are talking about the finances, namely about how they're planning on helping the family with the banana chip plantation. But as Tata told us earlier, it's not common for the family to actually pay them for their help. So they were trying to talk shop about how are we actually going to earn money, how are we actually going to make a living here. It gets kind of boring because they talk about this for several minutes, but basically, James was hoping to come to Indonesia with $10,000 in savings, which would have provided for them for at least 2 years. But before they left, they got a car and the car broke down and he had to eat a bunch of expenses. And because it was kind of a piece of crap now, he isn't able to sell the car. And long story short, he now has $7,000 less than he would have otherwise. And because James doesn't actually own the car, still has to pay $700 a month in car payments. So James is thinking that they need to make at least $700 a month selling these banana chips. Which, to me, that sounds like kind of a stretch. That seems pretty hard. And I understand he's worried about this, but he brings it up constantly several times with Tata in a way that looks just kind of annoying. He says, what are we going to do for money? She says, well, maybe we can sell some for some commission. He says, well, how many would we even have to sell to make it work?
So we'd have to sell how many banana chips to make
She says, I don't know. That's why we have to talk to my parents about it.
what we need to make.
I don't know. We need to do calculation.
He says, well, these are the things we need to figure out. We can't just live with your parents forever, we gotta figure this out.
Those are things we really need to figure out because we can't just live at their house and not ever make money.
We have this car payment. Can we make $700 a month? Is this something we can even do?
And with the car right now, we're still paying for that. That's gonna just wipe us out real fast. Is that even something that we could make here? $700 a month?
She's like, yeah, this will be hard.
It's hard.
He says, well, we gotta figure it out. This is gonna be really stressful. And Tata's like, okay, I get it. Like I said, we need to talk to my parents about it and we'll figure this out.
So that's gonna be a stressful thing.
I know, that's why we need to talk about it with my parents.
And it seems like this whole conversation is leading up to Tata saying, yes, we have these problems. We need to talk to my parents. We should tell them the truth now about moving here permanently. Let's just get this out of the way and then we can ask them for advice so we can all figure this out together.
So we need to tell him the truth. Maybe he have a good advice. We don't know.
But not surprising to anybody who's watched any video or seen with them in it so far, James doesn't want to tell them the truth and wants to push it back and delay it as much as he can.
When do you want to tell them though?
Probably tonight.
That's really fast. It's been 1 day.
Tata thinks that we should just get this out of the way, tell them immediately, and then we have one less thing to worry about on our plate. While James keeps dragging his feet and saying, well, I just got here and I'm tired, I want a couple days to relax first.
I'm still too tired. I want to at least have a couple days to rest.
And do we have to tell them immediately? I don't know if this is the right time. I just don't want to rush into anything,
Don't want to rush into everything so fast.
While Tata again says, this will be for the best, the sooner the better, let's just get this done. And James finally agrees and says, okay, you know them better, then let's do it.
The sooner the better.
I hope you're right.
And that's where the episode ends. It's almost funny to me still watching these scenes because really every scene that James and Meitalia are in, there is some kind of dishonesty and withholding the truth going on. And at least most of the time, it's James coming up with excuses of why he doesn't want to do it. I'm just imagining the tell-all now, everybody ganging up on him. Why don't you tell him the truth? And you dug this hole for yourself, which I completely agree with. I understand not liking confrontation, but when you have a pattern that is this clear already, you've already withheld the truth from your family and her family and to her with the kids thing. It's just, as a viewer, for once, James, other James, not me, just be honest. What is delaying this any longer going to do? Can you imagine from the parents' perspective? Not only have you been lied to and told that this is just a visit, but then when they get here and you show them around and now it's been a couple days of this visit and only then do they tell you, hey, by the way, we're not going back. And surprise, we're actually moving in with you guys. Can you imagine being told that 4 days into the trip? You could at least make the arguments that, well, I was waiting for James to come here and then we were going to surprise you with a good surprise. That only works if you tell them immediately. At least then it's kind of a, oh, you know, that's cool or interesting. But if you wait longer, it's just, what are you doing? At a certain point, a surprise just becomes disrespectful. And I don't think that is a level of nuance that James over here really seems to consider. That's all I got for today's video. Let me know what you thought about James and Meitalia in the comments down below. Are you sick of them already? I don't get sick of couples very easily, but seeing the repeated lying and obfuscation of the truth, it's kind of getting to me. A big thank you to all you channel members, with an extra special thank you to Nancy Jones for being a producer of this channel. And until next time, I'll see you later.